The galaxy was wide, cold, and silent. On the far edge of a forgotten star system, a peaceful planet named Valari Prime burned under attack. Blue skies turned red with fire, cities crumbled, screams echoed through the smoke as giant black machines marched through the streets. The attackers were known as the Zoran, soulless machines built for one thing: destruction. No warning, no mercy. They came like a storm, and by the time they left, nothing lived. Valari Prime's leaders sent out a distress call, a message of pure desperation. To anyone listening, we need help. Our world is dying. Please. Anyone. The signal shot across the stars, carried by light and hope. It reached ancient empires, advanced alien nations, great alliances, and was ignored. No one answered. Not because they didn't hear, but because they were afraid. The Zoran were the stuff of nightmares. Whoever fought them usually vanished. Entire fleets had tried. None returned. Hope was dying fast on Valari Prime. But then, something unexpected happened. Far across the galaxy, on a small blue planet, forgotten by most of the universe, an old satellite beeped to life. Dusty, slow, and outdated, it was a relic from Earth's early space age. But it still worked, and it still listened. It picked up the Valari signal, scrambled and weak but clear enough. That signal landed in a hidden facility, buried deep beneath Earth's surface. There, among shadows and silence, a single man stood alone, reading the message. His name was Commander Alex Rourke. No one had seen him in years. Some thought he was dead. Others believed he had gone rogue. The truth was stranger. He had left the world stage, hiding from the pain of war, the betrayal of leaders, and the loss of everything he loved. But now, hearing the helpless cry of an unknown world, something old stirred in him. Something dangerous. Alex didn't belong to any government. He didn't need permission. He didn't wait. He moved through the silent base like a ghost, flipping on dusty switches, waking up long-forgotten systems. Lights buzzed. Engines hummed. Steel doors creaked. Open. Behind them sat an old warship, Earth's last experimental battlecruiser, the Revenant, a monster of steel, weapons, and raw power, hidden from the world after peace had returned. But peace had never been real for Alex. He stepped inside. The ship, the systems recognized him. "Welcome back, Commander Rourke." He strapped in, hands steady, eyes cold. Outside, the Earth slept, unaware that one of their own was about to go to war. As the engines roared and fire lit up the launch bay, he whispered to himself, voice low and hard, "Let's show them what human rage really means." The Revenant tore into the sky faster than sound, vanishing into the stars. No fanfare, no news, just one human, answering a call the galaxy ignored. But the galaxy was about to learn a lesson it would never forget. "You said," Part 2 ChatGPT said. The Revenant raced through the black of space, a shadow among stars. Inside, Commander Alex Rourke sat alone in the captain's chair, eyes locked on the nav screen. His face was calm, but his mind burned with old memories, memories of war, betrayal, and loss. The galaxy thought Earth was quiet now, weak, primitive. But they had forgotten what humans were like when pushed. Alex hadn't. As the ship moved deeper into unknown space, Alex studied the data from Valari Prime. The planet was days away from total destruction. Millions were already gone. The Zoran didn't just kill, they erased. Entire histories, cultures, and cities were wiped clean. Valari's signal had shown burning skies, screams, and flashes of black machines walking through fire. It wasn't war, it was extermination. He worked quickly, fingers flying over controls. The Revenant had been built for one final war that never came. It carried secret tech, part human, part stolen from fallen alien ships. Its weapons weren't fancy, but they were brutal. Its armor was thick. Its systems were smart. And under Alex's control, it became something else, a predator. No fleets, no allies, no backup, just him. Across the stars, the galaxy laughed in silence. To them, Earth was a backwater world, barely space-capable. A human responding to a Zoran threat? Madness? Suicide? But Alex didn't care what they thought. As the stars flew past, the ship's AI spoke. "Commander, we are now within Zoran space." "Good," he said quietly. "Let them feel it." He began scanning for signs of the Zoran fleet. It didn't take long. Their energy signatures were massive, loud, bold, and arrogant. They thought no one would dare come after them. They were right. Until now. Alex reviewed old battle records from past alien encounters. Every empire that faced the Zoran fought using logic, structure, and predictable patterns. The Zoran adapted. But humans didn't follow rules like that. Earth's wars had always been chaotic, bloody, and wild. That was Alex's plan. Don't play the enemy's game. Break it. His first move would be simple, loud, brutal, and impossible to ignore. He armed the ship's long-range torpedoes and began setting up a trap near an asteroid field. The Zoran, patrols passed through here often. It was the perfect place for an ambush. But before the attack, he paused. Sitting in the dark, surrounded by machines, he reached into a small box near the command chair. Inside was a faded photo. 2 faces, smiling, a woman and a young girl. He stared at it for a moment, his expression hard. "This isn't just payback," he muttered. "This is justice." Then he sent a message. Not to Valari, not to Earth, but directly to the Zoran. It was short. "You missed one planet. Now you'll regret it." He hit send. Within minutes, the Zoran responded. A small scout ship, sleek and deadly, changed course and came straight for his location. They thought he was easy prey. Commander Rourke smiled. They were about to learn otherwise. The Zoran scout ship moved fast, smooth, silent like a black arrow slicing through space. It was small but deadly, built from living metal, powered by a machine mind that never slept. The Zoran didn't use pilots. They didn't speak. They didn't feel. Their ships were extensions of a single hive intelligence, a cold, calculating force that had destroyed hundreds of worlds without pause. The scout ship had one mission: investigate the human signal and eliminate the source. The Zoran didn't expect resistance. No one ever fought back alone. When they found signs of a lone human vessel, they didn't even slow down. To them, it was barely worth the energy to destroy it. But this was not an ordinary ship. And this was not an ordinary human. Commander Alex Rourke watched from the shadows of the asteroid field, every system of the Revenant on standby. His ship was powered down, hidden among space rocks, drifting like debris. The perfect bait. He waited. He didn't blink. He didn't breathe loud. He knew the enemy better than they knew him. Years ago, he had studied Zoran tactics during the silent war Earth had almost joined. He had watched them tear through other civilizations. He had planned, waited, and prepared for this exact moment. The scout ship entered the field, scanning with its sharp, alien sensors. It passed over the Revenant, saw nothing dangerous, and moved on. Alex smiled. He powered up his ship in an instant. The engines flared, cannons charged. The trap snapped shut. "Fire," he whispered. A barrage of torpedoes launched from the underbelly of the Revenant, spinning silently through space. The first exploded against the scout ship's side, tearing through its shields. The second went straight into its engine core. The third blew the front clean off. The scout ship didn't even have time to react. It twisted, sparked, and exploded into metal shards. In under 10 seconds, it was over. Back in the command chair, Alex leaned forward, eyes cold. That's one. Across the galaxy, for the first time in centuries, a Zoran ship was destroyed in combat by a single human. The message was clear. The galaxy had ignored the distress signal, but Earth had answered, not with diplomacy, not with peace, but with fire. As news of the explosion spread, carried by hidden sensors and pirate feeds, alien networks began to whisper. A human had attacked the Zoran, and won. Some laughed, thinking it was luck. Others grew nervous. If even one Zoran ship could be destroyed, maybe they weren't unstoppable. Maybe fear had made everyone blind. On Valari Prime, hidden survivors picked up the signal and saw the explosion. For the first time in weeks, they had hope. Maybe, just maybe, they wouldn't die. Forgotten. Commander Rourke didn't care about glory or attention. He didn't care who watched. He sent another message, this time to every system listening. Zoran are not gods. They bleed like everything else. You want to live? Fight. And with that, he jumped to his next target. The war had begun. You said, Part 4 ChatGPT said. Commander. Rourke leaned back in his seat, watching the stars streak by as the Revenant entered faster than light travel. His face was quiet, but his mind raced. He had just killed a Zoran scout ship. It was a small win, but a loud one. The kind that echoed. Somewhere out there, the Zoran hive was already calculating, already adjusting. They didn't like surprises, and nothing surprised them more than a single human striking first. He knew what would come next. A response. A test. The Zoran would send more ships, not to destroy him yet, but to study him. They wanted to know what made this human different, what made him dangerous. Rourke welcomed it. The galaxy didn't understand humans. They saw them as chaotic, unpredictable, even emotional. And they were right. But what the galaxy called weakness, rage, fear, pain, was exactly what gave humans their edge. Alex wasn't driven by logic. He was driven by something machines would never understand. Memory. He remembered the last war, when Earth nearly fell apart. He remembered the broken promises from alien diplomats who offered help, then turned away. And he remembered the colony on Mars, where his wife and daughter had lived, until a test weapon from an alien ally went off by mistake. There had been no justice, no answers, just silence. So he had disappeared, gone underground, buried himself in the Revenant for years, waiting, watching. And now the galaxy was making the same mistake again, ignoring screams for help. Not this time. He pulled up a map of Zoran-controlled space, dozens of planets, all conquered and silent. But he wasn't interested in attacking their empire head-on. That would be suicide. He needed to think like a human, hit where it hurt, where they didn't expect, not with fleets and armies, but with speed and fury. He identified a supply outpost orbiting a dead moon, lightly defended, critical to Zoran patrol routes. That would be his next strike. As he plotted his course, the AI chimed. Incoming signal, not Zoran, origin unknown. He raised an eyebrow. Play it. A voice crackled through. Nervous, alien, unsure. This is Captain Yell of the Barani. Resistance. Are you the human who destroyed the Zoran scout? Alex paused. That didn't take long. Who wants to know? He said flatly. We saw the explosion. We've never seen them take damage like that. We want to help. He narrowed his eyes. Help? From strangers? Too late, he replied. Where were you when Valari screamed? We were hiding. The voice admitted. Like everyone else, but now someone's fighting back. You've woken something. Alex thought for a moment. Maybe. Or maybe they just wanted to follow until it got hard. I don't need followers, he said. If you want in, bring something useful. Otherwise, stay out of my way. There was a pause. Then the voice replied. Understood. The signal cut. Alex turned his attention back to the nav screen. The outpost was within range. He armed his EMP torpedoes and hacked into their defense grid remotely. The attack was fast, silent, beautiful. The outpost never saw him coming. With one strike, he shut down 2 Zoran patrol routes and destroyed a data relay. Now the machines were paying attention. The next time they came, they would come to kill, and Commander Rourke would be waiting. The Zoran didn't waste time. Hours after the attack on their outpost, 3 of their hunter ships were already on the move. Sleek, black machines slicing through space like silent daggers. These weren't scouts. These were warships, built for total annihilation. The kind used to level cities and erase fleets, but they weren't just hunting any enemy now. They were tracking a human. Commander Alex Rourke watched them from the edge of a dying star system, floating near the wreckage of a long-dead mining station. His ship was cloaked again, power low, hiding in the cold. He didn't run. He waited. He had picked this battlefield carefully. The system was full of debris, magnetic storms, and broken stations. It was messy, unpredictable, perfect for someone like him. Inside the Revenant, alarms flashed softly. The AI spoke in its calm voice. "Enemy vessels entering system. 3 Zoran destroyers, weapons hot." Alex smiled to himself. "Let's give them a warm welcome." He activated the first wave of traps, old satellites he had reprogrammed with explosive charges and signal jammers. As the Zoran ships entered the field, their sensors began to flicker. Data scrambled. Their clean, perfect vision of space became fogged and confused. That's when Alex struck. The Revenant powered up in a heartbeat, bursting from the shadows with all cannons blazing. Plasma bolts ripped into the nearest Zoran destroyer, smashing through its shield. The enemy fired back, but Alex was already moving, darting through wreckage, using the station's broken remains as cover. He flew like a man who had nothing to lose. The second Zoran ship launched a swarm of drones. Alex responded with a minefield, detonating it right in their path. The explosion lit up space like a second sun. The third ship tried to flank him, but he turned directly into its path and fired his railgun, one shot straight through its core. The machine ship shook, twisted, then split in half. The battle lasted only minutes. When the smoke cleared, 3 Zoran destroyers drifted in silence, burning. The Revenant floated above them, scarred but alive. Inside, Alex exhaled slowly. That's 3 more. Across the galaxy, the signal spread again. Pirate networks, resistance cells, smugglers, refugees. All of them saw the footage. A lone human ship destroying a Zoran hunting group. No one believed it at first. Then came the proof. Wreckage, energy readings, Zoran AI fragments pulled from deep space. Valari Prime survivors watched in silence. One of the children whispered, "Is he coming here?" A voice replied, "I think he's already on his way." In the darkest corners of the galaxy, a name began to spread, the ghost of Earth. No one knew where he came from. No one knew why he fought. But every time the Zoran struck, he struck back harder. He wasn't just attacking ships, he was breaking the illusion. The lie that the Zoran couldn't be hurt. And deep inside the Zoran hive intelligence, something changed. For the first time in centuries, it felt something strange. It wasn't fear, it was curiosity. Who was this human, and what made him so dangerous? They would find out soon, but by then, it might be too late. The Zoran hive had never been challenged like this before. Their war code, ancient and perfect, now showed cracks, small but growing. Every time the human struck, he didn't just damage their machines, he made them think. That was dangerous. The hive was built to conquer, not to adapt to chaos. Logic ruled their mind. Emotion was weakness. Yet this human, this Commander Rourke, fought like wildfire, unpredictable, uncontrollable, and relentless. Now, the hive made a decision it hadn't made in 1,000 years. It would speak. Far away, deep in the void between systems, Commander Rourke sat at the Revenant's console, reviewing stolen Zoran data from the wreckage. Suddenly, every screen on the bridge flickered. Static filled the air, then cleared. The AI shut down, the lights dimmed, and then a voice, cold, metallic but clear, filled the silence. "Human." Alex didn't flinch. He stared at the main screen. "You are not efficient. Your resistance is irrelevant. Why do you continue?" He smiled, slowly. "Because someone has to. You are alone." He stood from his chair and walked closer to the screen. That's the mistake everyone makes, thinking one human isn't enough. There was a pause. Then the voice returned. "We will study you. We will improve from you. You will die, but you will be remembered by the hive. Then I'll make sure I'm worth remembering, Rourke growled. The signal vanished. Alex stood in silence for a moment. The message wasn't just a warning. It was a shift. The Zoran had noticed him, not as a target, as a threat. That meant they would stop underestimating him. They would come with full force. He needed backup, not an army, but allies, real ones. So he sent out a message, this time not to the Zoran, but to the galaxy. Zoran spoke to me. That means they're scared. You've all been waiting for someone else to fight. Well, I'm not waiting. I'll be at Valari Prime in 3 days. If anyone out there has the guts to stand, meet me there. If not, stay, hidden, and pray I win. He ended the transmission. Back on Valari Prime in the shattered ruins of the capital, survivors heard the broadcast. Families huddled in underground tunnels. Children watched with wide eyes. Soldiers, barely holding the line with scraps of equipment, felt something stir. Hope. And across the stars, in the shadows of broken fleets and forgotten colonies, ships began to stir. Old captains, retired warriors, smugglers with nothing left to lose. They didn't trust each other, but they believed in the one thing they hadn't felt in years: revenge. Commander Rourke looked out the viewport at the stars ahead. He didn't expect anyone to come. He was ready to face the Zoran alone. But somewhere, deep inside, he hoped he wouldn't have to. Valari Prime was next, and he was bringing the war with him. 3 days passed. The stars above Valari Prime shimmered with a strange silence, as if the galaxy itself held its breath. Down on the surface, the once beautiful cities now lay in ruins. Fire-blackened buildings stood like broken teeth against the sky. The last survivors had moved underground, deep into tunnels and bunkers, waiting, hoping. Some believed the human was real. Others thought it was just another lie, another spark of false hope. Then on the 3rd day, the sky changed. A tear opened in the clouds as the Revenant dropped from orbit, engines roaring like thunder. Its armor was scorched. Its hull was marked by battle. But it was alive, and so was its commander. Commander Alex Rourke stood tall, on the bridge, eyes focused as the ship descended through atmosphere. Time to finish what they started, he muttered. But as he neared the ground, something unexpected happened. Multiple ships dropped in behind him. Alien vessels, old and mismatched, their markings worn and faded. Barani resistance cruisers, a retired Arkan dreadnought, even a few rogue AI ships that had broken away from the Zoran long ago. They came from every corner of the galaxy, small, scattered, strange, but united by one thing: Rourke's message. And now they stood with him. The people of Valari Prime saw the sky fill with ships, different species, old enemies, forgotten allies, all following a human into battle. For the first time in weeks, cheers echoed through the bunkers. Children smiled, soldiers wept. Rourke opened a private channel to the resistance ships. You don't have to follow me. You're here by choice. That means everything. A gruff, alien voice responded. We've waited too long to fight back. You showed us how. Another added, let's show the Zoran what the Forgotten can do. Above them, the sky darkened. Zoran warships were arriving, hundreds of them. Towering, flawless, cold as death. The Hive had sent a full battle group. They weren't just coming to win. They were coming to erase. The Revenant rose to meet them, its weapons glowing, its systems ready. The other ships formed up beside him. Scattered but determined, Rourke took one last look at the planet below. Then he spoke a single word: charge. The final battle for Valari Prime had begun. The sky above Valari Prime became a storm of fire and metal. The Zoran fleet descended like a black wave. Perfect formations, emotionless precision, unstoppable force. Their warships didn't hesitate. No threats, no warnings, just annihilation. Plasma beams lit up the sky. Orbital bombardments began to rain down. But this time, something was different. They were met with resistance. The Revenant led the charge, blazing through the chaos like a spear of vengeance. Commander Alex Rourke gripped the controls tightly, eyes locked on the lead Zoran dreadnought. His voice was calm but sharp. "Target primary vessel. We take out the head first." The Allied fleet followed, ships from broken worlds and forgotten. Systems soared into battle, barely held together but fearless. The Barani fighters struck fast and scattered, confusing Zoran targeting systems. The Arkan dreadnought unleashed ancient plasma cannons, punching through Zoran shields with brutal force. Even the rogue AI ships outmaneuvered Zoran drones, their programming rewritten with a single mission: vengeance. Inside the Zoran hive mind, something new surged: disorder. This wasn't how battles went. These enemies weren't calculating or cautious. They fought with rage, emotion, desperation. It made no sense. It broke every logic pattern. But it worked. Rourke flew the Revenant straight at the heart of the enemy, through clouds of drones and bursts of cannon fire. The ship shook violently, hull alarms screamed. But he didn't slow down. His railgun charged, locked onto the Zoran dreadnought. Fire! The shot tore through space like lightning. It struck the dreadnought's command node, sending a ripple through the entire Zoran line. Their formations staggered, their ships faltered. The hive mind felt it like pain, something they weren't used to. Meanwhile, on the surface of Valari Prime, survivors came out of hiding. Armed with salvaged weapons and raw fury, they joined the fight. Civilian ships scrambled into the air to aid the wounded. Old defense cannons powered back on. The people were no longer victims. They were fighting back. One young Valari soldier shouted into the comms, "We see you, Revenant, we're with you." The message spread across channels. Everyone was listening now. And in that moment, for the first time in living memory, the Zoran lost control of a battlefield. Still, the battle was far from over. Zoran reinforcements warped in. Larger ships, faster drones, smarter code. The hive had learned, and now it adapted. A second Zoran dreadnought locked onto the Arkan ship, blasting through its shields. It began to fall, spiraling toward the planet. Commander Rourke saw it. No, not today. He rerouted all power to engines and shields. The Revenant dove, grabbed the falling ship with its tractor beam, and pulled it back, barely avoiding a crash. Inside, the Arkans cheered. "You're insane, human." Their captain growled through the comm. "Probably," Rourke answered, "but it's working." Above them, a third Zoran warship powered up a superweapon. A massive energy core began to spin, enough to wipe out half the resistance fleet in one blast. Rourke knew what had to be done. He locked onto the superweapon. "Prepare for ramming speed," the AI warned him. "Impact will destroy the ship." He didn't blink. Worth it. But before he could finish, two smaller resistance ships surged ahead, piloted by volunteers from Valari Prime. They smashed into the warship's core in a burst of fire, destroying the weapon and themselves in the process. Sacrifice. This was how humans fought. And the galaxy was watching. Part 8 ended in flame and smoke, but not in defeat. The Zoran were still coming, but now they were bleeding, and the ghost of Earth wasn't done yet. ChatGPT said, smoke drifted across the battlefield, both in space and on the ground. Fires burned in the ruined cities of Valari Prime. Broken machines littered the streets. Wounded fighters shouted for medics. Ships, some limping, others drifting, hovered above like bruised giants. The first wave was over, but everyone knew. The real storm was still coming. Inside the Revenant, Commander Alex Rourke stood at the center of his war-torn bridge. Sparks flew from damaged panels. The AI's voice was slower now, strained. Structural integrity, 47%. Primary weapons offline, shields, critical. Alex wiped blood from his cheek. His armor was dented. His arm had been burned during the last skirmish. But he didn't stop. He couldn't. All systems to emergency. Mode, he ordered. We're not done yet. Outside, the second Zoran wave dropped out of warp. Bigger, meaner, smarter. The Hive had changed its approach. It had seen enough to understand this wasn't a normal war. This wasn't about planets or power. It was about breaking will, and theirs was now being tested. The new fleet was led by a Zoran Apex mineship, a massive vessel unlike anything seen before. It wasn't just a ship, it was a brain, a mobile hive, a living code weapon, and it wanted Rourke. He watched it appear on the scanner. Well, there's the monster. The Allied fleet was exhausted. Ships floated half dead. Fighters had run out of fuel. Supplies were low. Medics were overwhelmed. Everyone had given all they could, and still the enemy came. Some captains considered fleeing. But then Rourke's voice came through every open channel. They want me. Let them come. But know this. Every second we fight, every drone we destroy, every ship we delay, we teach them that we're not prey. That fear belongs to them now. He paused. I'll take the Apex, alone if I have to. The comms lit up in response. A Barani smuggler barked, "You go, we go." A Valari fighter said, "This is our world too. We stand." Even the damaged Arkan cruiser buzzed in. Human madness is oddly inspiring. Across the system, tired, broken ships turned back, toward the enemy. They powered up weapons. Pilots reloaded. Ground teams regrouped. They would fight again. The final battle began. The Zoran Apex mineship unleashed wave after wave of weaponized code, hacking ships, disabling systems, corrupting AI. One human cargo vessel crashed into a mountain after losing guidance. Another was turned against its allies before being destroyed. But the Revenant kept flying. Alex Rourke had locked its systems into manual mode. No AI, no remote control. Just him, his hands, his mind, and 1,000 years of human rage. He charged straight toward the Apex. The giant Zoran ship fired beams that tore through asteroids and cracked hulls. Still, Alex dodged them all, diving, rolling, weaving between debris. He was close now. Too close. The Apex spoke. "Flesh cannot defeat mind." Alex growled into the mic. "You still don't get it." He activated the last weapon in his arsenal, a homemade bomb, built from stolen Zoran code and human reactor parts. It pulsed with unstable energy. He armed it. "You think you're the future," he said, voice cold. "But we're the reason stars fight back." And then, he launched it. The bomb sped through space like a comet. The Zoran Apex tried to block it. Drones, shields, code walls. But it was too late. Impact. A flash. A blast of pure energy. The Apex screamed, a sound made of static and dying thoughts. The mineship began to collapse in on itself. Code unraveled. Metal warped. Fire exploded from its core. The second wave shattered. The Zoran fleet began to scatter, confused, disconnected. Some ships simply shut down. Others fled into warp. The Hive had lost its node, its control, its mind. Commander Rourke, barely conscious, watched it all from his cracked viewport. "That's what you get," he whispered. Valari Prime was still standing, but the cost would be seen in the next and final part. The battle was over, but the silence that followed was not peace. Valari Prime's skies, once filled with fire and smoke, now held only drifting wreckage. Burned-out ships floated like tombs. Fires still raged in the cities below. Bodies, human, alien machine, lay together in broken streets. And above it all, the remains of the Zoran Apex mineship turned slowly in space, cracked open like a dead god. The galaxy had witnessed a miracle. And a massacre. Inside the ruined Revenant, Commander Alex Rourke barely held on to life. His body was broken, his armor torn. The cockpit was filled with smoke. Systems were dead. Lights flickered. The ship was falling into Valari's gravity. He didn't care. He had done it. The Zoran were gone. Not destroyed, but broken. Their mindship was dead. Their control lost. Scattered Zoran units were either fleeing or shutting down across the system. For the first time in generations, the hive had been beaten by one man. As the Revenant fell, emergency systems finally kicked in. The AI, damaged but loyal, rerouted power to stabilizers. Crash landing possible. Survival uncertain. Alex coughed and smiled weakly. Just another Monday. The ship struck the ground in the outskirts of Valari's ruins, hard, fast, and loud. Dust flew for miles, but when it settled, a hatch opened, and Rourke crawled out, bloodied, barely breathing, but alive. The people of Valari rushed to him, fighters, civilians, children, those who had watched him fight from underground bunkers and rooftops. They had called him a myth, a ghost, a weapon, but now he was just a man. A young girl stepped forward. "You came. You saved us." Alex looked at her through one swollen eye. "No, we saved each other." Around the planet, resistance groups celebrated. Allied ships began search and rescue operations. Medical crews pulled survivors from rubble. Engineers started fixing power grids. Flags, real ones, were raised again over shattered cities. News spread fast. Across the stars, other worlds under Zoran control heard what had happened. Systems that once feared to resist, now dared to rise. Rebellions sparked. Silence was broken. The message was clear. The Zoran can be beaten, and at the center of it all, one name was spoken again and again. Commander Alex Rourke. He refused medals, refused command. He left the rebuilding to the locals and those who followed him. The war wasn't over. The Zoran still existed, scattered but dangerous. But their empire of fear had cracked. Alex knew what came next. Not glory, hunting. He repaired what he could of the Revenant, modified it for stealth and range. Then, with a patched-up suit and a fresh scar on his cheek, he vanished into deep space once more, looking for Zoran nests, looking to end it, one system at a time. They had awakened something they couldn't understand, human defiance. And now, they would learn a final lesson. You don't ignore a call for help, not when a human is listening.